she does email.
Is Father God, we turn to you this morning and we thank you for the blessings of life. We're thankful for all you've done for us and brought us to this time. We're thankful for freedoms. Pray for those that wear a badge and a uniform that protect our freedom. And we know we would be amiss to be with those that suffered loss in Oregon. Just go with us now. Bless this meeting and watch over us and grant us wisdom. We pray in Christ's name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. We'll start with the minutes. Those were sent out through email. Corrections? If not, I'll accept the motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3-0. Today we have two payrolls since we missed Streetcar Week. First, week number 19 of $196,733.38. Payroll number 20 was $198,821.09. We have claims. First claim is $669,365.31. And claim 168 for $204,295.58.
Motion to approve payroll and claims.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
3-0. First up, Bonnie.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Morning.
I hope winter's not going to be, I've caught a cold already.
Too much dust.
Yeah,
Too much
a little bit
street
of
fair.
dust.
Too much street fair.
That could be too. We have 86 inmates, 5 are DOC. That's all I have right now.
Sheriff, if possible, we request with you an executive session.
Okay.
Next meeting, say for 8:45.
Okay.
If that will work, I believe that would be the 19th. Does that work with the rest of board members?
Yep, 19th, 8:45.
Be able to post that for us.
8:45.
8:45. Great.
Okay.
Thanks.
Very good.
Thank you.
Ed? Cody?
Morning.
Yep.
Blow up.
Some reading.
First thing I have is just an update on the hot mix projects, 14 projects that we did this summer and putting hot mix over them. I did talk to the contractor. They actually started this morning on them. So they will be done this week. So don't have to worry about going through winter with them this year. So update on the center line striping. They did come in and do some of the tracing, retracing. They did about 36.5 mile of that. They still have to do about 16 mile of that, and then I told them to wait till October 1st to do the roads that we chip and sealed. There's 17 mile there, and the railroad crossings and the arrows. So they did do the T marking last week, so I would say within a couple of weeks they'll be in and get the rest of that stuff done. So roadside mowing, we did start our third and final mowing here in the latter part of September. We do 2 passes on our blacktops when we do that, just to get the weeds knocked down before winter. There's a 3-set township we started with. I actually talked to my guy up north, and he is actually done in Jefferson, so he's over in Union Township there. So we're working on that. Probably take us till the middle of November to get over everything, stuff like that. So just an update on the Pike project. Since your last meeting, we did get 3 more put on some gravel roads, and I listed them there. The one on Rose Road, one on 450 East. That's supposed to be 280 South, not 780 South. And 8 south of 100 East. We still have 6 more to go. One down in Nottingham Township, which they're doing today. We got one in Chester, and then we got 4 yet to do down in Jackson Township. Still have one, I didn't list it on here, that we're doing with the Adams County Surveyor too, out on the East County line, and I don't know for sure where that's at. I called the engineer this morning. I'm not sure they even got prices on that yet, but he's going to do that as far as his ditch project. So I think that will happen this fall,
Okay.
but I don't know for sure. I think he's sort of waiting on crops to come off too to see about getting that one done. So. Next thing I have, and I got some pictures for you guys to look at and maybe pass down, stuff like that. I just put chip and seal road damage. And if you look at, there's different spots that just show places where chip and seal roads have broke up.
They're all on different roads.
They're all on different roads. They're all in the south end of the county. And I'll just say, it's basically from CAFO operations. It's either them hauling continuous loads of manure or loads of silage going in or something like that. And it's just, there's spots that just can't handle it with the repeated load. So I guess I'm just bringing it to your attention. We've got most of them patched back in. I think I still have some on 200 East to do, and we're going to get that patched back in this week. Some of them I wait until they're done hauling, until I patch them back in and stuff like that. So just giving you information on that, and figured I would show you some pictures and stuff like that. So, just some of the other stuff we're doing. We're still doing our hand patching. We're done north. We are working south on that. Backhoe crew still have several small jobs to pick up, and that's what we're doing as we're going around picking up the rest of these big culvert projects as we're going. Did cut some side ditches, the rotor ditcher. did haul the concrete in from Markle. He'll help you Dave a little bit more on what's going to happen with that project and stuff too. So that's all I have.
Okay.
Good segue. If you look at the county highway garage right now, there's a pretty good size of concrete that came from the 224 state project. The state was gracious enough to allow us to haul that material in, so we can reuse that for riprap on around just right around our county bridges only. I think that was the whole thing. There's probably several up in the Union Township area that's going to get the majority of this material, and probably some portions within the county itself. So that's going to happen probably next Monday, Tuesday, depending on the contractor when he's available to move the equipment around.
Is the size a manageable size, or do we need to?
Some pieces are just a little bit more unmanageable. I don't know how we're going to handle that. If there's probably some bigger holes, some big areas out there that it's not going to matter that much.
Right.
They really won't.
Okay.
But getting it loaded up, Ed and I, we've already talked about having, instead of a front end loader, we're going to have an excavator to kind of pick it up and to place it into the truck. So by just dumping it into the truck, it's going to hurt the bed, number one. Then you can kind of manage that process just a little bit better, be a little bit more selective on that.
I have a question. Are you done with everything yet?
No, I
Oh,
don't.
go ahead. Not related to that then.
Then the next item, Union 455, which is on it's a concrete box that we're going to be placing. It's on County Road 300 West, just south of 900 North. It was scheduled for the 14th, but we moved that to the 21st. We're going to install that. So the road is going to be closed on the 19th, which is a Monday.
We closed all week.
Yeah, it'll be closed all week. Thank you, Ed. It was just they couldn't production from Mac Industries. That's when they had it in there. So it just got pushed back a week, which is it works out good for Ed and for the other concrete riprap that we're going to be using.
I'm going to have Roger make sure that's posted on the county Facebook
Website.
page.
Okay.
Thanks.
As I said in the Drainage Board meeting today, Ed and I were going to take the entire day, or however long it takes. We're going to be driving around and looking at next year's small structure projects. So this is anything from, it's not considered a bridge, so starting to look at next year's stuff. And then, like I said, we're going to then get back with Jared and say, hey, these are the locations. You know, we're going to look at sizes, depth of the structure, everything. USI basically started, they're doing the bridge inventory now. They started last week, just kind of a kickoff meeting between them and Ed. And for probably the next month, they're going to be in and out of the county. So just in case somebody sees flashing lights around the bridge, the bridge is not falling down. It's just getting re-inspected like it should.
And they have a label on their truck. So.
Yeah. That's all on my list.
Okay. Some folks that live in Reifsburg have brought to our attention that they're concerned about the noise from engine braking of the trucks stopping at the intersection there. And we believe that's a county ordinance, but a state highway concern if we have to post signage. So is that something that you could investigate for us and see what we need to do to help them?
They're probably thinking all four ways at that
Probably.
intersection. Okay.
Has it always been bad, or is just recent? Or
She didn't mention anything about whether it had escalated or not. In fact, she said it was very nice since the bridge has been closed that they've enjoyed the week or two that there's not
now
been
that
so much.
it's noisy. Yeah, I understand.
So,
Okay. That would be Dane Plattner.
thank you.
Yep, thank you.
And that project, I'm going to report on a state project. It's coming along pretty good. I would venture to say they'll lay hot mix this week, and it probably will open. And all in all, our roads handled it very well. Of course, it was dry and stuff like that.
It did help.
Yes. Yeah. We have a few spots on 200 East because I think a lot of
It's taken
the
a
trucks
lot
were
of-
taking 200 East down to 218 and back over to 1 and stuff. But all in all, they handled it pretty good.
Okay. All right.
One other thing, Roy, be meeting with all the residents on 700 West tomorrow night at 7 o'clock to get all the right-of-way documents signed for that. So if could you have all of those documents printed out for me yet today?
Yes.
I can pick those up.
Yes, I would.
How late are you open? I can stop by. How late is the door still unlocked that I can get in if you're still there?
The front door closes at 5, but
Okay.
I usually don't leave till more like 6.
No problem. I'll be there in time.
If my Jeep's in the back, I'm still back there.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Great. Stay. Thanks. On the agenda, I have Joe with Bridge 193. I was going to say, if you gentlemen stay in the audience, if there's questions that.
Can I speak from right here? Do you all hear me from here? Do you want me to move
Oh,
up
come
to
on
the
up.
podium?
Come on up.
Come forward.
Come on. I have concerns about the bridge on Old 303. And I need to learn more, I guess, on exactly how we're going to tackle that. And I've talked to enough folks in the neighborhood to make me think that I want to stop the project until we decide to do it in a manner that gives us a bridge that we can actually use. And so that's why I'm here, is to discuss that. I took a little time, drove around, measured some roadways. There's 4 places to cross the Wabash between Markle and Bluffton. The bridge on Old 303 is by far the narrowest of the bunch, and I'm not so sure that 303 wouldn't have enough traffic count to rival what goes across the Gerber Bridge. So it's a pretty busy highway out there. And just for giggles, I drove over on 400 West, south of 124, a half a mile, where we put a new structure over the Rock Creek. And that structure is 5 foot wider than the bridge on 303. And there's probably 10 vehicles a day that uses that road. So I don't know what you can tell me on how that works. I read a little bit in the newspaper earlier in the summer, and I was led to believe from that there was going to be money spent to build bigger, wider approaches. But yet, when the bridge was finished, there would be guardrails on the inside that would make it 9 inches narrower than what it is now. I didn't give it a lot of thought. About a month ago, I was driving up 303, and it just went through the bridge, and I met a motorhome and a trailer coming from the north, coming south. And there was a lot of traffic that day, and there was a lot of traffic all summer because of State Road 3 being closed. So it escalated a little bit due to that. But long story short, the people in the motorhome panicked and slammed on their brakes because the traffic coming behind me had them scared that they couldn't all fit in the bridge. And that wasn't a big deal, except for the semi behind the motorhome and the trailer just about didn't get stopped. And I can't feel good about building nice, big, wide approaches to funnel everybody in there a little faster than what they go in there now. And other than waiting until it's done and growling about it, I thought I'm going to ask some questions before it started. And I talked to Ed, and he said the paperwork hasn't been signed yet, if I understood correctly. And So I want to spur thought before we go further.
Well, the bridge has been a project in the making since 2013, if I'm not mistaken. So I guess from my standpoint, it's been open, publicized, documented for a good long time, Joe, and I'm just trying to see what, I mean, did it just happen that you thought about it now, or it crossed your mind?
I hadn't followed up on it. I saw something in the paper this summer, and if I recall, it was just a small legal notice almost on how it was being advertised, possibly. And
that's required, but we've discussed it in open meetings here,
okay.
So it would have been part of the
I guess my fault. Haven't followed up.
Let me turn to some of the questions that you
I am a part of that group called the Human Race, and we love to wait until projects are finished and then come point fingers at all you folks and say, why did you do that? So I'm trying to be proactive, and I am late in getting started,
right.
and I'm not here to...
I think I need to have Toby and Ed address the issue that you have, because they have the engineered drawing set of plans, I believe, that's scheduled. Is that true?
Yeah.
And I'll let it, I want to say this. I'm not here to point fingers, to blame people for how we got to this point. And I'll apologize for being as late as I am to try to make change. But I just feel like I want to talk about it before it happens. So okay. I'll be quiet and listen.
All right. Very good.
So everybody can hear me.
Very good.
Some of Joe's questions are very valid to a lot of other places within the state. This particular Iron Trust Bridge was deemed by state historic preservation people as a select bridge. A lot of times the counties did not have a say-so what is considered historic and what is not. They just said, this is what it's going to be. Joe, this bridge, unfortunately or fortunately, is a historic bridge. So what we can do to change certain things around, Monty Fisher's not here. Basically, you're getting handcuffed. So if you want the federal money, you play by their rules. And sometimes we don't like those rules. To replace a bridge of this type of structure, length, size, you're probably talking closer to $3.5, $4 million.
To get the width.
To get the width. Because you'd have to remove all of the existing end bends, the center pier. We are not widening out the road width at all when it kind of comes down, because we can't do that. If we widen out the road, that means we have to move the guardrail back. Moving the guardrail back means we have to add more soil. More soil means a substantial amount of money, and that was not part of the original scope. Okay. Joe is correct. I think it's 6 to 9 inches. That we are really decreasing the width of the structure. Right now, if you'd look at it, the existing guardrail is actually attached to the structural members of the bridge. That is a no-no.
That's not allowed now.
That is not. That never should have happened a long time ago. So that happened probably, Joe. You probably remember living right down the road. Basically, the state said, it's our bridge. We're turning the road over to you. We're doing so they kind of swept that underneath the rug.
We were the recipient of...
Right.
Right.
And the structure has been okay since then. But new federal guidelines says you cannot do that anymore, period. So, yes, the structure is coming in, and probably because of that. We were adding on... right now there's a 6-inch curb and gutter out there. We're going to be adding a 9-inch parapet wall, and then square tubing will be placed on the top of it for structural, integrity. So it's not as I call it, the old W beam. It's not the old ugly guardrail. It's going to be more decorative to it. So Joe is correct that it is going to be a little narrower, and but we had no say-so in that at all. We had say-so in the color of the bridge, and that was about it.
These bridges that get listed as historic, who makes that choice? Is that a state organization?
We call it SHPO, State Historic Preservation Officers.
Okay.
There's a group of them down there. What's their names? I have no clue.
Okay. Are we forced to agree with them on this sort of thing, or is it just that we are trying to save the money by getting federal funds on a project because we agree to go to their standards on something such as a historical bridge?
In my experience, we've challenged some of those. Why is this considered historic? And we got nowhere. Part of that process of being historic, is the locations where it sits. I know there's another county that's adjoining to us. They want to remove the structure completely. And SHPO says, thou shalt not do that. It's only historic in that location. They couldn't do that. Crazy as it may seem, Joe. So we cannot just actually physically move that bridge to another location and reuse it. It has to stay in place. So if we even wanted to get a new bridge there, that would be pretty typical. There on, as you recall, on 900 South,
900 South,
we had part of that document. We had to move the bridge because it had to do with buses. We had to move it, and that bridge has to stay there for at least 10 years.
Can I go on record as saying that I think that's about as foolish a way to spend money as we do, and that it's time that we start to challenge some of this stuff? The bridge in Veracruz, I assume, and that's been many, many, many years ago, similar thing. It was left in place so we could build a new bridge around it. And that's a situation where moving the road was not good, but it wouldn't be anything like 303 is going to be, because there's going to be a day when you're going to build a nice bridge over the Wabash River on 303. We may not live long enough to see it, but our kids will. And when that road, when you go up there and you make a big hook to get around that historical structure that's still sitting there, I think we need to start now to challenge some of this stuff. And I don't know where to go, and that's part of the reason I'm here. If there's people, if you can give me information on these historical people, this is foolish. It's truly foolish. And I'm a little partial to that road because I was born and raised there, lived there my whole life. And I'm at the intersection of Old 303 and State Road 124, and 303 will rival 124 in traffic count. And I think we need to do it right. You go to Veracruz, you go through Bluffton, you look at every structure that crosses the Wabash River in Wells County, and why are we going to pick that one to be a narrow, dangerous structure on a very, very busy road? I don't like that. So that's why I'm here. And I want to know how to go to the next step of trying to bring attention to it. And no fault for you guys at all. Please don't think I'm here to point fingers and place blame. I am not. I just want to try to change it before we throw money at something that's, in my opinion, not worth throwing money at.
Joe, if I could, I value your opinion. I mean, we've gone through a lot of years on a lot of things, and they're very valid. Unfortunately, as we sit here, and you know this, like Toby just stated, when when we're handcuffed, what do we do? So the right thing would be that bridge sits, we start back at the intersection, and we make a whole new bypass around that bridge. That'd be the way to do it, and make it wide. Now, the reality of that is, so I think it's going to be more than $3 million to do that. When you start to make the approaches all the way back that far to go around it. In the interim period, you fix a structure that was there with the money that's available to you to make access. So now it becomes an issue of, I know what you're saying. So we're driving those semis, and everybody shortens it up, and it's like everybody hits the binders on it. But the flip side of that is, from an emergency standpoint, I still have access to go across there on a bridge that's workable versus, going back. Either way. So it's a hard decision. I totally understand what you're asking and questioning, and how do we go about the bureaucratical issues, why they don't just think. But you know how it is. Somebody's ego gets in the way, and they want to create something that we have to live by.
Yeah. It's like Indianapolis is controlling local stuff that we ourselves can't have.
That's passed down by the feds.
Yeah, I think it's more the feds.
Yeah, the feds push it to us, and it goes on down the ladder. But that's the unfortunate thing. I totally agree with what you're saying, to widen it out and make it like the other bridges. But with the historical concept going on, now I guess I'm going to try and play by the rules. It doesn't stop what you want to do. I understand.
I just think that somewhere a person needs to make a stand, and may not win this battle, but I'm really frustrated with how this is going. And as a kid, there were 2 more bridges between there and Markle that are now gone. One of them burnt down, and I'm pretty sure it burnt down because some people in the neighborhood didn't want to put any more money in it. And it was going to be a historical covered wooden bridge across the Wabash. But anyway, I just felt like I wanted to voice my opinion and see if there was anything that could be done to try to change the mindset on what we're doing. And if no's the true answer, I'll live with that. If there's more that can be done, if there's people that can be challenged, if there's questions that could be asked of historical, federal, whoever, that's sitting somewhere telling us how we're going to do this, that is something that I would gladly speak to, or if you folks could speak for me, I would appreciate it if someone would ask those questions. It's
Toby, do we have any sort of contact information for
Oh,
the
yeah.
SHPO?
Yeah.
Maybe he would like to have that.
You betcha.
His concerns are well spoken. We appreciate
I can get you
the manner in
the
which you
number.
were bringing it.
Yeah.
It's well,
Get him in contact with them.
Yep. I'll do it.
That'd be great. What is the schedule of events? Ed talked like maybe in the next month or so the paperwork could be signed on and I'm speaking without enough knowledge, but being signed on contractors and whatnot to get started. So I was curious on what the timetable is on.
I can't remember, Ed. Was it?
It's November 10th, Joe.
Okay.
At NDOT.
So, well, I appreciate you letting me voice my opinion.
Sure. Absolutely.
And I hope in the future we can run our county from within and not have to take old structures and set them alongside the river and waste money doing things that I think are foolish. And I know it's going to cost a ton of money to build a bridge that would be a good bridge there. I'll go on record as saying, as a taxpayer, I'll gladly pay my fair share to build a decent bridge while we're doing it, other than throwing money at something that's obsolete. So I'm finished. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Roger, we have you next.
Don't have a whole lot to report. We replaced a couple more computers, just some laptops, just 2 or 3, and so this year's been pretty tame as far as computer replacements. We've had other years where we've replaced a lot more, but just with where we're at with our technology rollover, it's been a little bit slower with that. And some of the new operating systems, Windows 10, for example, isn't pulling on resources as bad as other upgrades had been. And we're starting to test out the waters a little bit more with Windows 10, but we're not ready to start doing everybody moved over to that yet. We still have a few vendors that are not quite ready to make that jump, so we're holding off on that.
Okay.
And that's about it. I'm just getting caught up from some vacation.
Yeah, I was in talking to Mr. Teeple.
Yeah.
Did a good job while you were
Yes,
gone.
he did a very good job while I was gone.
Excellent. Thanks, appreciate it, Roger.
Yep.
Was you going to have Roger do that update?
So what's the
Right
date?
there.
What's the date on that?
The road was going to be closed on October the 19th and fixed on the 24th, if I'm not mistaken. So if you can post it on Facebook,
Sure.
and at least maybe do it today and going forward, but closed on October the 19th will be the date. And it's 300 West, correct? The old 303.
Okay. I'll try to get some more information. Make sure I get all that. All right.
Super.
Thanks.
Thank you. Mark.
Morning.
Thank you.
Okay, well, earlier this year, I had seen where you folks had some trustee applicant issues where they come before you for an appeal. So I kind of reread the rules a little bit, and there is a clause in there that each township is supposed to have their guidelines on file with the commissioners, approved by our board, which those are. So I spent the summer, I took a set of kind of Indiana generic rules and kind of tweaked them a little bit for Nottingham Township. So that's what those are. So in the event, I don't think we've ever had an appeal. We haven't since I've been in office, but just in case you've got them. So
We appreciate you doing that.
No.
It takes time and effort.
Is that something Roy will review, or we just...
Yeah, we just keep it on the file
On file,
for
okay.
in the
right.
auditor's
So if
office.
I have to deny, if I deny somebody, there's going to be something in there that backs up why I did it.
Correct,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, but I've never had anybody, get upset. If I do deny somebody, I try to treat them with, explain to them why, and treat them with some respect, like I'd want to be treated. So, I've never had an issue, but I'm supposed to have them on file, so there they are. So,
Thank you.
okay.
Thanks, Mark.
All right. Any questions? Or okay. Thank you.
Mike, have you next.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
Doing well. All right. Main reason why I'm here today is in regards to the FEMA grant application for acquisition and demolition of the 6 houses that I gave you a brief update one of your prior meetings here. So with this, I do have a resolution put together in regards to the county putting together their local match of the 25% towards that grant program. So with that, the actual number for the county is $156,173.54. So I guess I would ask what questions you have. I can make a presentation about it. I don't know what you
Did the
want
number
me to
of
do.
properties change?
No, we still have 6.
Still have 6.
Yes.
So these are houses that were in areas that were not considered floodplains prior, but now will be considered a flood plain?
Three of the properties considered in the grant are in the current and past flood zones.
Okay.
So the 1983 map as well as the 2014 flood zones. The other 3 properties are properties that are located in what is called Zone X on the flood hazard map, and that is a low to moderate risk flooding zone. However, they are in close proximity to a waterway, legal drain, or open ditch that has history and has caused them flood damage. So it's covering 2 different tiers, 3 of them that are in the flood zones and receive damage from the Wabash River when it comes out of its banks, and 3 of them that come out of more localized situation like the Johns Ditch, the Walter Johnson, and I'm missing the other one, the name of it right now. But that's the situation. So there's 3 in one way and 3 the other.
So the 3 that are not, have they flooded on numerous occasions, I take it?
Yes. 2 of them flooded in 2003 and then again in 2015. One of those flooded twice in 15, a week from each other. And then the other property has flooded nearly every year since they've owned the property, since the mid-2000s. And that's the one located on the Johns Ditch on 800 South.
So these properties, if they're excavated out, will never be built on again in these
Correct.
areas?
The purpose of the end result of the grant or the grant process is once the properties are acquired, the structures are demoed. They are meant to stay as open flood storage areas for the rest of the time. And there will be a deed restriction that states that basically when the county would take title to them.
Currently, we have this money from the CEDA fund to...
That is, after talking to council, that was the suggested location for the funds, which is why I'm also in front of you for this resolution, as well as going in front of council tomorrow.
Can that be changed at any point in time, or can
It is not as much of an issue of exactly where the funds are coming from. It is an issue of that you are willing to pay this up to this amount of money to cover the grant. If you change it and say, I'm going to take it out of this fund instead, that's not an issue. It's an issue of to verify that you're willing to pay the $156,000.
The only question I would have is when you anticipate the process to go through, when would you anticipate these monies to be needed? What calendar year? Next year, 17, 18?
Next year or 2017.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there other structures in similar areas that may need this? I mean, I know that's kind of a hard question to answer, but I mean, how
Sure.
much of an impact are we making with this versus
We
what else is out there?
started off this application seeking 12 properties. When we went to them to see if they would voluntarily want to be part of this grant application, we ended up with 6. So I would say that there is easily another 6 properties out there
that could flood again.
That could be easily targeted in this type of
And
process.
the reason was,
Either we didn't get any contact back from them, or they were not interested at this time for selling out.
can there be a commitment if they're not interested at this time that we're not liable for down the road because we gave them an opportunity?
This is a grant application that's completely. It's nobody's limited or required to go or apply for. Everybody is free. The counties, it's your decision to do it. Nobody's forcing you to do it. The state doesn't have to sign or help there for it. FEMA doesn't have to comply. Everybody's voluntary in this process. So there is no, because you did this grant and you didn't include this, there is no liability on anybody because everybody's voluntary. And that's one of the things we have to get from all the properties is a voluntary participation form. So there is no binding to this process going forward from other things.
I'm just curious
Yeah.
about how old are the houses that are in this? I mean, are these houses that probably shouldn't have been built in these places in the first place? And is there something to prevent us from having
Sure.
other people build in places that we're going to have to clean up their mess later?
Yeah. Very good question. The three properties that are in the Zone A or Zone AE flood zone are all were all built prior to them being mapped in. The two houses in Veracruz both date back to the early 1900s. The one house in Bluffton, which is not part of this year funding source, was built and then was mapped in 2014 in that change. The other properties, because they're in Zone X, the flood regulations that the county has do not apply to them. However, in the future, there would be a goal that we would try to get those areas mapped in a flood zone so that down the line the next door neighbor doesn't make the same mistake. And we did have a meeting with some members at the Department of Natural Resources, Division of Water, just a couple weeks ago in regards to getting some of those areas mapped for the first time. There's funds available to do some Zone A flood zone mapping and some improvements on our existing maps that we're looking at as well. So yes, there is definitely a need to be realize that we don't want the next person to build next to the Johns Ditch like the one we're trying to buy out.
Correct.
Exactly.
I mean, I support this from my standpoint that this would be one thing less that we'd have to put emergency funds to, but just my thought. So.
I guess the benefit is then we don't have people trying to sandbag them and save them and fix them and
Yeah.
insurance rates going up and
Yeah.
so there's a benefit behind it. It's not just
There-
charity. That
Yeah,
we're
there
finding
is a set of governmental savings, and then there's a set of savings on the side of the property owners that are going to have additional expenses going forward. So it's realized across the board, as well as from the federal government and state government side, because they won't be putting funds towards these properties to help rehab them in the future either.
I would be in favor of it also in order to prevent future problems costing us more.
So we would need the next
That's a motion.
resolution number.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
I did. Aye.
3-0. And that was resolution
2015-05.
05. Okay. And I'll give all the stuff for you to sign. There's some other additional stuff in regards to the grant application that I need basically the board to give Blake permission to sign on your behalf. The first one is we did receive a secondary grant from the Wells County Foundation to help for $10,000 to help towards our local match money. So I do need permission for Blake to sign and make it official that we're accepting that.
And that's if FEMA.
Yes, that yes, correct. And it's a 1-to-1 match, so every dollar that we spend up to $10,000 is matched towards that process, and it will be shared between the city and the county, but that is the grand total in regards to where the funds go.
Okay, so
Can I interject just a moment?
Absolutely.
We better vote on the resolution 2015-05. I know we took a motion, right? But I don't know that we voted, did we?
Did we get a second?
I seconded it.
Yeah.
I don't,
We said,
just, is it
okay.
unanimous?
Yes, 3-0.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
I don't remember if we did or not, but
Thank you.
I'm sorry, what was this match for this dollar for dollar?
For the Wells County Foundation, they offered $10,000 in a local one match on what we. Yep.
I was just trying to listen to the next
Yeah.
part.
I'm sorry.
So was
No,
I,
you're
and
fine.
I kind of got.
Sure.
So we also need a motion to accept the $10,000 match, or
Yeah, for you to sign and the
or allow me
grant.
to sign that we would be willing
That
participants.
it's basically that you're participating officially in the grant agreement.
I'll allow Blake to sign. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
3-0.
So
I got
this
it myself.
the next set of things are all in regards to the application for the grant itself, and I'll just name them through if you have any questions, and then I'll have the same thing for Blake to sign at the end. The first thing, we have a statement of assurances for the property acquisition projects, and it's basically saying that we're going to comply with items in our grant application. Just one of the legal documents that we have to provide forth as part of the application. It's a FEMA form. The second, we have to certify that we're not doing any lobbying with local or federal funds in regards to trying to push for this grant to be approved. We are not. We also have to prove that we're not, or determine that we're not debarred or suspended due to some by the federal government, which would restrict us from not receiving these funds, which in the case we are not, and that we are also going to maintain a drug-free workforce as part of this process. So that's the second part. The third part is regards to having Blake actually sign the page for the actual grant application itself. And then finally, we have to have a letter basically stating that you have agreed to maintain the properties for Higginbotham's property and James' property once you take title to it for perpetuity, and that the options are that we're either planting them in native tree and plant species, allowing them to go back to nature, or the James property may be able to be used for agricultural purposes, so that we would allow a farmer to use it as long as they don't bring dirt in or whatever. So those are.
Can we
items.
specify that, or it's just a choice later on?
It is a choice that we will make as we get to the buying of the property. We'll make the decision one way or the other on that. It is part of our grant application to fund it if we want to pay to put the trees on the property. We do have that as part of the grant application as far as our maintenance budget line item.
So you have 4 parts.
Yes. So the letter about maintenance, the actual grant document itself, and then the lobbying, suspension of responsibility, and drug-free workplace, and the statement of assurances.
And Blake to sign.
Yes.
Was that a motion?
It was.
Second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
3-0.
Any other questions in regards to the grant application? Then at this time, I'd like to have Jared pop up here. And we do want to present to the county. We received a award for excellence in floodplain management for Wells County's application to the CRS program from the Indiana Association of Floodplain Managers. So at this time, we would like to present that to the county for you to.
Beautiful.
Part of the reason the reason that we were nominated for that grant
Zoom in on it.
was typically in a county, and then you have a lot of municipalities. Typically, the county will join the CRS program, which lowers the flood insurance rates, but then the communities don't, or a community will join and the county doesn't. And we are one of the very few in the country, I guess, from what we were told, that Wells County joined, all of the participating communities joined all at the same time. But we're an outlier compared to what normally happens in most communities.
Congratulations.
Right.
Good communication and good directorship. Thank you.
That's right.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Mike, can you get me copies of the application whenever you get a chance? Thank you.
Yep.
So whose office will this go in? Yours? What can you do in here?
Is this, do you have a
There's an
resolution
empty
for
window
them,
right
or
down
is this
there.
the one they need to sign?
I've got another copy here.
I had a copy too, so I didn't know.
Yeah. We can send it. So
Way up here. This looks like all three of us.
Yeah, yes. For that one, it's.
Hey, Jared. Jared, why don't you pass it down the audience and then put it in the window for us? That would be very nice. Thank you. No, I just voted for him to sign it.
When do we anticipate this will
Application goes facing Friday.
Anything else before I sit down?
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks,
Thank
Mike.
you.
Wayne, we have you next.
Gee, I hate to follow that. I didn't get awarded anything.
You want one? We'll give you one.
I only have 2 items today. 3 in case you went through it. So,
You got it.
Oh.
You got Rick with you. You're all set.
yeah, I got
I'm
my
just
man here.
the guy left, right? That was mad at the state.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, 2 things. 2 resolution requests. One requiring just the president to sign and one only. So I'll tell you about it. That's the resolution.
20, we have 06 and 07.
The reason for that one is
Big day.
the state's going to a new e-signing system, and that is an authorization for 2 people. Right, Rick?
Yes.
One, anyone on the board except the president and the auditor. We already volunteered Kevin.
Okay.
One is a primary, one is a secondary.
Okay.
Should
I'd be happy to be do that.
I don't get to do it. No.
Does it have to be specifically one person? It just says one who isn't the president. So does that leave an opening for either or not? Or is it just one?
It does. It actually does. They need to have two. Two have to be registered, and I think you've given them that information, how to register. Is you giving it to?
Just in case you need a backup.
Right, and the story is the meaning behind this is that it should simplify things to where that Wayne wouldn't have to bring the grant before you to have all 3 of you sign it. Last year, our agency they lost a grant signature page from one of the county's grants, and just so we had to go back and get another one and everything else, and this will eliminate that process, But essentially, how it's scheduled to work is that we would notify all the emergency management agencies of the availability of funding, and Wayne would apply. The EMA agency would apply for a grant and fill out that paperwork, get it started. They would still come before you and say, "I've applied for this grant." You still are made aware of it. It wouldn't be anything that done without you by any means at all. Then Wayne would get an email and letting him know you've been awarded this grant, and that in a week or so, the primary person that's at e-signator would be getting an email to sign, to go into our IGMS, which is our grant system, to go in there and actually e-signature for that grant. Like I said, you would still be, the auditors would come before you and say, "Yes, I did receive this and I signed for this grant." So you're never left out of the loop by any means at all, and that was some of the concerns that some of the counties have had, that they wouldn't know anything about it. And it is a reimbursement grant, so obviously you would expend the funding, and as things were paid for, they would be reimbursed, back to Wells County. So last year there was an opportunity, a very, very short window of time, when some money that was reclassified back to, re-encumbered back to IDHS was made available, like $300,000 or something in that area. And so they sent an email out to all the EMA directors, "Hey, if you have a project," and I've always explained to my directors to have a project on the shelf that if this happens, they can say, "I'm ready," and send it in that very day. By doing that, the director doesn't have to wait for the next commissioners meeting to explain that to you. But as I said, they would always come before you and say, "I've applied for this grant." So
Okay.
So we need a motion to approve this.
Do they have a specific resolution number?
It has resolution, but we usually name our resolution, so is it all right to put our
That's fine.
our number on the side of this? So it would be 2015-06, right? We just
Yes,
put that.
right. Make
So
a motion.
Are you doing it? Okay.
To
go.
motion move 2015-06.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
3-0.
Got that one.
This here, you have a page, Beth? I've got one here.
What?
Or is this,
I have it. That's another one.
is this?
That's, no, that's the next
Oh,
thing
that's a
he's gonna
different one.
talk about,
Okay,
I think.
gotcha.
I have this one, so I'll get this one.
1506. Okay.
The second one is the big one. That's the one, the long-awaited multi-hazard mitigation plan that was prepared and approved by FEMA. So that, you have that to pass to Beth. That will require everyone to sign. That's the one that we spoke of.
We, I was part of this
Yeah.
back this spring and summer, and
Yeah.
we tracked.
That's correct, yes.
Exactly.
And it's FEMA approved now. So
It's FEMA approved?
The reason that's so valuable
Good for 5 more years.
is because everything that Mike asked you for, down the drain without that. And that's the plan.
You have to have a current mitigation plan
Right.
to receive mitigation funding to purchase homes.
So this will stay in effect for 5 years?
Yes.
I'll accept a motion.
That's the one that I asked for funding for, and it was
Right.
delayed, expired then. But if you remember, disasters would not have affected the fact it was expired, but Mike's proposals would have. So, everything's in order.
Okay, so I'll have
So
a-
motion to approve the newly updated multi-hazard mitigation plan for Wells County.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
3-0 on the resolution 2015-07. Sign both sides?
It's council, maybe? Council.
Council.
City.
Now, for the benefit of Commissioner Dunmoyer, I'd like to ask Rick a question he's not expecting about because we sat through the advisory board where we were discussing using this facility as an EOC, remember?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask Rick, because he gets around and sees a lot of counties. I would like to have him tell you what he thinks of this facility, should there be a disaster, and should this facility be needed as an EOC. This room, our communication room, the generator, front and center.
Yeah, this would be a...
Welcome, Rick.
Yeah. Yeah, this room would work out excellent, really. We do try... we ask our directors to have a secondary facility available as well. And I think there's many available, and with technology today and as mobile as we are, it would be something that we could get up and running pretty short order. So this room would be fantastic, really, and I mean, it's got the internet, it's got capabilities and generator backup as well. So yeah, I mean,
I think one of the concerns that was raised during the meeting was, well, what do we do about the commissioners' meetings and the APC meetings and all the meetings that have to take
you guys
place in
don't.
here?
We wouldn't worry. No, I'm not. I'm just kidding. No.
We'd bag those meetings for what we got going
Yeah,
on.
if it were a true
Trust
disaster,
me.
I don't really
Yeah,
think it
common
would be
sense
an
says, guess
issue.
what? We'll hold ours somewhere else based on what you guys have to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah. This, that goes along with the continuity of operations plan that we can work on down the road for everyone for things of that nature that happen as well. But I'll work with Wayne. We can look at alternate sites as well. That would work. Fire station training rooms work good. for an alternate location. But this is. I think very rarely do they actually build a facility for that purpose. They're usually, I would say, Adams County is including like this is a multi-purpose room. Adams County is building a new jail, and the EMA agency will be located in that, and as well as a multi-purpose room in there as well. So, we, like I said, this room would be very good, just because of the things I stated before. So, but we'll find an alternate. We've discussed them a little bit as things. Just need internet, telephone, and we can talk about purchasing other monitors and things of that nature that are equipment that are needed. But I mean, you've got the chairs and tables and things that you need for that. So.
Would it benefit you at this time if we went ahead and denoted this room for that use? I don't have any issue with that.
Okay.
I'd make a motion to that effect.
Sure.
And a second to that effect?
In favor, I am.
Aye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Wayne.
Thanks.
Thanks, Rick.
Thanks.
Good seeing you again, Rick.
Good seeing you again.
Betsy and Bonnie, but I like to see Betsy, so.
Yeah, I get to be both today.
Yeah.
Oh, there you
Bonnie's on vacation, so.
There.
This is when I need to put my glasses on.
Set this so everybody can see it with me. Alright. I'll just go through this real quick with you. Our statistics, can you guys see that okay from that angle? Everybody can kind of see. I know it's hard to see anyhow because the numbers are small, but at least the bars will show you a little bit more. I'm just going to go ahead and start with our cumulative comparison. And I actually just got back myself. I went to the INDOT annual meeting Wednesday last week, and then our INCOS conference, which is Indiana Committee of Specialized Transportation, for 2 days. So I have not completed September's numbers yet, so this is through the end of August. Okay, I'll be doing month-end reports this week for September. But January through August, you can see 2015 again has surpassed last year's numbers. We're running about 9% more on the number of trips than what we provided in 2014 for those first 8 months. If you look just total, obviously we're down here in August. We completed 2014 with 40,412 trips. We're on track to exceed that number to the 43 to 44,000 trips for the 2015. Our monthly comparison, we've had some really big months. I can't even read that from here. In 2014, we averaged 3,368 trips per month, and I've only had 1 month this year, and that was June. Without, that's our normal slowdown. That was less than that. So we've had several months that were in the 4,000 range, and then all the rest were 3,400 and on up. So we're really busy. I wish I would have had September's numbers for you because September has even increased more. This is our average number of trips per business day. In 2014, we averaged 160 trips per business day. And every, other than 2 months, we've exceeded that. And I got back this morning to, oh my gosh, Friday was so busy. We had over 215 trips by 4:30 in the afternoon, and we still run till about 7. So our numbers are continually going up. We are very, very busy. You see probably most of our vans on the road a lot. Just to give you an idea of the age breakout, for seniors, we're running at 36%. Those are age 60 and older. For adults, 18 to 59, we're running at 47% of our trips are provided to adults. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, 15%, and then the infants went back up to 2%. And those are the breakouts of the different age groups. So, any questions on the statistics so far?
How many vehicles are in your fleet?
We have 14 vehicles.
Okay.
So, Yep.
Has that stayed consistent, or has that increased over the last couple of years?
We actually increased it from 12 to 14 this past year. We were going to retire 2, but because of the amount of growth that we were seeing, rather than retire or replace them, we just expanded our fleet. And that's worked out well for us, especially if we have any type of maintenance repairs and we have a bus or 2 out. So, okay. And I thought this was real interesting. I thought I would just share a little bit of information statewide. NDOT published its transit annual report, and transit ridership continued to grow in 2014 with 1,924 vehicles throughout the state, providing 37.4 million trips and logging 45.1 million miles. So, there are a few agencies that are not growing, but everybody as well is experiencing growth just like we are throughout the state. So, a lot of public transit going on.
Is there a record of what each county uses and how their growth pattern is? I know I get different periodicals that show tax rates throughout the county. Do you have anything like that?
They actually, I could have brought it with me. Every year, NDOT puts together a annual report that shows each of the counties and the number of trips and the number of miles and any highlights for that county as well. So I have.
How do we compare?
How do we compare? Well, like I said, we're one of the few that actually experience as much growth as we have. I think in between 2012 and 2013, we had over a 10% growth. The next year, we still averaged about a 4% growth, and then now we're back up to about 9 or 10% growth. Nobody can really explain that other than I think we're getting past the stigma of being just a senior and disability type transportation, because we're doing a lot more trips for people to work. We're doing a lot more trips for getting kids to daycare, the Boys and Girls Club, specialized classes, that type of thing. So, we're up there as far as the amount of growth. We're at the very top.
And we've heard some talk about GPS systems going on board the
Yes, we
vans.
have GPS installed on all of our vehicles. And what that allows us to do is be able to monitor where the vehicles are at, quickly tell if we have somebody call in and is ready for a return trip. Bus 6 is right there. We can dispatch bus 6 to go get that person. And so that helps the dispatchers get people dispatched.
Was there grant money paid for that, or was that county money paid for that?
That was, Bonnie found it in our budget, so I'm not sure what area she pulled that from, but we did have it in our budget to install that. So,
do you have any graphs that show the percentage of your budget which comes from riders, which comes from the county portion, which comes from other people making donations? Is there any?
I personally do not. Bonnie might. Bonnie would have. She has all of the financials. So I wish she was here to answer that question for you.
It'd be nice to kind of see where all your funding comes from and who's putting into it besides just.
I do know that she writes quite a few grants. So, and then we do several fundraisers that helps to come up with the local matching that we're required to have whenever we get like state funding, state grants, that type of thing. So.
And who's on your board? Do you know the board members?
Yeah, we have Mick Cupp, Gary Merritt, Tim Ramsey, Pamela Beckford, Dan Gordon. I'm trying to picture all of the ones that are on our board. Who else? I'm probably forgetting somebody right now.
And they're pretty much in charge of making the executive decisions of what you spend the money on, or who makes the financial decisions?
Bonnie takes it to the board, and the board has to approve. Yeah.
Is there a CEO or anything like that? Is it? I mean, this is not a not-for-profit.
We are
correct?
a not-for-profit.
You are a not-for-profit.
We are a not-for-profit, private not-for-profit. Mm-hmm.
County council has been pretty tight on budgets, so we just wanted to, when people ask us questions, we just need to be informed to some of the things. There might be some questions that might sit down with Bonnie and try to get,
Yeah, I know
a little
she'd
more
be more than
financial
welcome to.
information in order
Sure.
to support
Right.
our contribution.
Right.
Okay. So, you are here for
I-
money or grant approval?
I also have a couple things that do require signature, and I did bring a blue pen. The first one is the contract invoice voucher to get reimbursed.
Is this going forward or coming
This is-
retroactive?
This would be for the date of the PO is for July, so it's retro.
Probably the second quarter, I'm assuming.
Yes, it's for second quarter for $43,251.
Motion to have Blake sign.
Second. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
We'll help
I
you.
was
We'll help you on
too
that one.
worried about signing this with a blue pen.
Generated.
No, I'm sorry, what was the amount on that? What was the amount?
It's $43,251.
Thank you.
Okay, you guys will hold on to that because I also have the contract, the operating assistance grant, PMTF operating assistance grant, and I need to have Blake and Beth both sign this. So,
Motion approved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I can't back out. I need to get you checked out. Blue pen.
so any other questions?
Like I said, I might just give Bonnie a call to get a couple of things so we know and I can pass it on to these
Sure.
commissioners.
Thank you.
You just have
Thank you.
Bonnie scan and send me a copy. Sure. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, that's all I have.
Thanks.
Do not see Ed. Did
Ed
he-
came in the day after our last meeting when he was supposed to be here.
Yesterday.
Ed.
So I told him, and so that way, this time I put it on the thing.
Thank you.
That he is requesting, for July 2nd of 2016, to use the courthouse square. He was supposed to be here. I don't know why he's not here today. Might have forgotten again, but it's been a month since I've talked to him. But he did want to use the courthouse square for July 2nd, 2016 for his cruise in. Is that what they call that?
Right.
Cruise in. And which they have in the past.
Is that a
so.
Saturday?
Okay, so you'll get yours pulled up before I do.
We have, yes, July the 4th is on Monday, so I don't have any problem with that. It's up to you guys. Does he have the certificate? of
Everything is in
insurance and
order.
stuff?
He likes to make the brochures out and put them out a year ahead of time, or quite a few
Put it
months
on
ahead
the
of time,
calendar.
so that way when
Yeah.
we put them out. That's why he's asking way in advance.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
3-0. Okay, we're down to reports and miscellaneous business.
Okay. I've got- We have received again from United Way, one of their fundraisers that they do each year is to designate a week in October, a week in November, and a week in December as Jeans Week, where employees will wear jeans to work, and they will pay a fee to do those. And in the past, I think the commissioners have done it. Was it $5 a week or?
We switched it. They asked for something.
They
It
asked
used
for a
to
little
be,
bit more, but we
yeah.
don't put it at that rate. But we left it available to our employees at maybe it was $2 a day that we did rather than $5 a day. That was $10 for the week. I think that's what we've done.
Right.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
leave it what it was.
And I would
If that-
continue
that
with
does sound
that.
right.
Okay. Okay, so let's get that information out to for you know, again, it's a week in
Is that a
October,
motion and a
November,
second and
December.
Motion
Or-
remain $10 a week.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
3-0.
Anything else?
Okay, Monty didn't bring up the Medicaid sign up again, so I'll leave that one out. I know they're probably waiting on that, getting information from their vendor. The other thing I had just to bring before you is the Commissioners Conference. The deadline is coming up, so I wanted to make sure anybody that is registered, or
Okay.
wants to register, has registered, or if they want me to do anything.
I've ignored it. I need to pay attention.
Yeah, I think the deadline for the
It's
early,
Friday. I just put it
yeah,
on my
it's
phone
coming,
yesterday.
it's coming in, so I just wanted to remind you all of that. And that's all I have.
What are the dates on that?
It is December 1st through December the 3rd.
Thank you.
Kip, anything?
No.
Tim? Only thing I have is that map that I just received is going to be for the Paxton McKinney. If anybody wants to look at it, we will have an RSP meeting October the 19th here in this room. So just the update, it's going to be the final plan that they submit for part of the city's portion of connecting all the, I think there's around 70-some homeowners east of town in the city municipal sewer. So that's all I have.
Audience?
Anybody? Questions? Audience?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Jessica? Okay, thanks. We are finished. Thank you.
Thank you.